Uh, Namaskar, dear comrades and friends. I have been uh, at loss, and I'm sorry that we could not make it last 2 days, and I missed the very day when Lohia passed away on 12th of October. So it's only due to some inconvenience or our part of the handling of the technology which is there today. I must first congratulate my comrade Jacob Joshi, for having organized such a nice talk uh, uh, about our what you may call our resource persons, the sources of our ideology and programs which the Samajwadi Jan Parishad has formulated some 25 years back. uh, what I have come to know that the first lecture was from our comrade Aflatun Desai ji on Gandhi, and then next was a lecture of uh, our comrade Vice President Chanbhushan ji on JP's day, and then I was assigned the task of talking something about the vision of Lohia and in the context of the present social and economic crisis that we are facing with. So we must congratulate Joshi Jacob for having organized such a nice program. And at the same time, I must thank him for offering me this opportunity, which I definitely feel that I'm not very much befitting for the task which has been offered to me, as neither I'm a scholar nor I befit in the very frame of the uh, what Dr. Lohia has orchestrated for his followers or those who believed in him. Yet, I would like to I would like to find some threads uh, uh, connecting our past with the present, which, as per the Dr. Lohia's understanding of his age and future, the future, of course, which is our present, uh, uh, what we can perceive and we can understand about. Uh, Firstly, I must refer to the all the changes which has been taking place uh, ever from the foregone century, that is 20th century, and that century has witnessed quite a lot of happenings, great happenings, as well as the emergence of some very towering leadership all around the world, and particularly in our own country. So we must first refer to that, since the first half of the 20th century, there were two great wars, the of the dimensions of the world wars, and that of course concluded in one sense that the age of earlier imperialism, earlier colonialism, and of course the age of ultra nationalism, um, that had taken the shape of even fascism in Germany, has come to a close, uh, which was it was supposed to be, and at the same time we have had a lot of towering leadership of the two great Roosevelts in USA, along with within Woodrow Wilson within, and the Chamberlain, Lord George, and Churchill in UK, and then Lenin, Trotsky, Stalin in USSR, Mao in China, and Kemal Ataturk, of course, must be referred in Turkey, who modified his country and rebuilt it on its own terms. So all these leaders were there in the world, and above all, of course, we have had Gandhi, which was no parallel, which was no parallel to any of the leader of the world. So that is one case, and at the same time, uh, even during the time of this crisis or the world wars, the world was also thinking about some solutions. And what solutions? Solutions of uh, uh, establishing some organization of the world level. It started with the League of Nations and the UNO, of course, after that. And uh, with all this, they sought for a world peace and parity of nations. It was all thought about, or you may call it a wishful thinking about the people of the leadership. However, all these things were going on, and of course, there was a big change which had emerged from the 20th century itself, and that was the coming up of new born nations. There were the newborn nations freed from the colonial rule of many of the European powers, and as well uh, 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 those who fought for their own nationalities and got rid of the colonial rule, imperialism, and the greatest of the examples of that was our own country, that is India. So it all happened, but at the same time, these newborn nations, as impoverished they were from the colonial rule, they have they have to face a lot of challenges of all kinds, of historical legacies, whatever discrepancies, whatever uh, uh, mm, uh, disintegrating tendencies were there. So they were challenged to integrate themselves, all their societies, to rebuild their nation, and at the same time they were challenged with a new wave of capitalism, that was neo-capitalism, we call, um, for now. Uh, they were also faced with this neo-capitalism, of course, uh, which uh, which were a big challenge to all these newborn nations. That is one thing, of course. And with all that, of course, the world also have had some very bright leadership around the globe. You may refer to Che Guevara in Bolivia, Fidel de Castro in Cuba, and Nelson Mandela of course, uh, in South Africa, Yasser Arafat in Middle East or the West Asia. All these were there, of course, and they uh, were some efforts on their part to guide their societies, their nationalities to certain revolutionary path, and get rid of the capitalist forces or the colonial forces which were still trying to recapture or recapture their ground in one way or the other. But of course, it was a great crisis, a great challenge to them. At the same time, many of these countries were not lucky enough to have such leadership such visionary leadership, which, of course, India has been blessed with. Definitely, it is India, our country, for many reasons, of course. Uh, we have a host of leaders who were visionaries, uh, maybe having their own inclinations, their own approach, their own understanding of things, but definitely they were all very concerned and committed to the rebuilding of their nation, and that was all there with our country. And we are not we are not here to refer to all of them, but of course we may may refer to Jawaharlal Nehru, Acharya Naren Dev, Acharya Kriplani, Yusuf Meher Ali, Maulana Azad, and such personalities which were thinking about the nation in all the positive terms. But of course, uh, above, apart from all these, there were those personalities who were forcing the challenges of the country, which was newborn, and of course, which was to be rebuilt uh, in a new way. And definitely, for that matter, we may here recall uh, Dr. Bhimrao Baba Sahib Bhimrao Ambedkar, Jayaprakash Narayan, Dr. Lohia. These were the personalities who were not simply leaders; they are visionaries. They are they were there to just guide the society, or to tell the society that what is right and what is wrong, because our country was not a simple one. Our country is not a simple one. It is, on the one hand, it was marred with so many of diversities and disparities at one hand, which we had inherited from our social structure. We have what we have inherited from our colonial legacies, and on the one hand, and again, we have to be cautious about the new wave of neo capitalism that was again a threat for the rebuilding of our nation. And here, of course, we may single out Dr. Lohia, Dr. Lohia, for for his for his such a comprehensive and such a wide-ranged understanding of the things, of the ground realities of the Indian society, Indian people, and the challenges facing our societies, our nation, and perhaps there is no aspect, there is no dimension which Dr. Lohia has not touched upon. He tried to address each and every bit of the problems. That is one part of him, that he tried to reach out the people, telling them that where we are lacking, where we should moderate ourselves, modify ourselves, or rethink about ourselves, introspect about ourselves. He was there to address every bit of it. And that is why we have to uh, think about Lohia's vision. But of course, before we come down to vision of Dr. Lohia, or his thinking, or his cautions, or his solutions, whatever he suggested about the things, we must, of course, firstly take into account what is there, what is, of course, the mindset of the people in the present world, and in our country, in particular. What is the mindset? Uh, if we don't take that into account, if we simply set it aside, we would definitely be failing in comprehending the challenges, the crises what we are in at present. Firstly, we must uh, all agree to that uh, whatever has been the civilizational progress, whatever have been the progress of civilization all through these centuries, uh, and whatever the term, what we say, the so-called development is there, uh, what does it what does it make to the pupils' understanding? Of course, those who are the advocates of this so-called development, uh, they are not alone. They are not alone that they are advocating something wrong or right, but of course, they are being supported in different way by different communities and classes, unfortunately, of course, but they are of not only the supporters of the spokespersons of the acts of planners or acts of planning, and not only those who are being benefited or who are at some uh, uh, convenient position, but also those who are lagging behind, who are drowning, of course, and I may even say that those who are even doomed or marginalized, they are also in the hope of the betterment of their life uh, in due course of time. That's a big tragedy. That's a big paradox. That those who are marginalized and doomed, even they are not aware of the crisis or aware of the real cause or the reason for what they are being deprived or for what they are in distress. So that's a very paradoxical situation which what we are in, and we cannot simply blame the pupil who are advocating the this sort of development, or those who have been trapped into it, because there are sufficient things to allure them, to carry them away. What are those? We must take that into account. What are those? Of course, maybe apparent. They are apparent. They are superficial. They may not be catering to the needs of all the pupil and the masses, of course, but they are there. What are these? We have had we have had experience of the industrial expansion, the agricultural, the growth of agricultural production, and all sorts of production. We have been building so many um, edifices for the um, for which look very magnificent, which look attractive, and we do have new modes of transport, and supported by so much of advanced technology, the communication technology, of course, and then the development of all kinds of the bazaars and the malls and the multiplexes, all sort of things which have obsessed the minds of many of the people of our country and the world, of course. But and at the same time, we may also take into account the emergence of a new class, a neo-rich class, in all past decades. This neo-rich class and the emergence of a new middle-class citizenry of all ladders, at all ladders. Middle class citizenry of, at all ladders, I mean to say that from bottom to the top, there are so many layers of middle class, but they are all being tagged to the same cause and towards the same direction. So what all is being uh, propagated and what all is being observed or what all is being understood, it is a very important thing to take into account. Uh, all these decades, we all know that there is a sizable number of middle class has emerged in the in the urban centers of the country, in our country particularly, urban centers, and they are professionals, they are technocrats, they are doctors, highly paid people, and and to support all them is a there is a good there are good many people who are all doing white collar job as servicemen or salesmen, hoping for some uh, very attractive and comfortable lifestyle. They have achieved the some of them, of course, have achieved them, and some of them are definitely trying to get them by hook or crook, by any means. So they are all there. So there is a big attraction, what we may call the whatever glitter we have, the glittering economic structure, which may be apparent, but that is there. And I'm reminded of the term Gilded Age, which was there in the last century, in the last decades of the 19th century in the USA, which was called the Gilded Age, when there was altogether a new experience of industry and urbanity and new lifestyles, new comforts, and all that. So we are in our country in that gilded age, which has been, which has in fact obsessed, which has in fact carried away many of the minds of our people, and even the wisest of the people you may come across talking about in these terms. They may be saying that, why do we talk about the socialism and all these things? There's no need of, because the world is progressing quite fast and the technology is there to support. So their mindset is so. Yes, it's a fact. It's a reality in one sense. But at the same time, not to say there are the problems which we have inherited from our history, our our social structure. Instead of they being eroded, instead of they being overcome, they have even taken more ugly shapes. That is one thing. The tendency of disintegration. You may, apparently it looks that our country is one, and we can raise slogans, we can just flood our flags here and there. We can just be glorifying ourselves in one way or other in the name of our nation, but at the same time, a deep tendency of disintegration of the society has also been brewing in all these years and decades, of course. That is a big challenge. Then another part, that is the that is disharmony among the society. While all this communication technology have brought people closer in one way, technically, but socially and emotionally, they are so wide apart. They are so wide apart. They are not uh, 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 in any way helping the integration of the nation, integration of the society. We may shirk aside in philosophical terms or in the theoretical terms that, or to talk about all such things uh, is uh, uh, just going by the older meta narratives of dreaming about a very harmonious and integrated society, but that is not to be there because it is a post-modernist era, and in post-modernist era we cannot think about any meta narrative. There can be so many minor narratives and disintegrating narratives, which we are not uh, uh, here to discuss. But the crisis is there. And the very glaring example of that is even those who have been sheltered in the urban hinterhouses, those who were not seen as some class or as some community or as some uh, humanity, we may say, um, until this corona crisis has made them to be looked by the whole nation and the world. Uh, can't we uh, can't we understand that uh, as soon as this crisis began, and as soon the sources of their livelihood were checkered or were stopped, uh, what type of crisis the country and the nation faced when, as the migration, as the escape or the refuge of the people overnight, and facing all the miseries in on their way to their home. Uh, that shows that how shallow is the whole our economic structure is. How shallow. Uh, just a crisis of 15 to 30 days is enough to bring out the very weakness of the structure we are just supporting and carrying on. So it's a very glaring example. The whole of our whole nation witnesses, observed it, and even those who were not so empathetic to all these things might be seen feeling sorry about these things. So that is one. But this only refers to the uh, people who have migrated to the urban centers for their livelihood, because there is no scope of their livelihood or their betterment in their own area, in their own birthplace, or in their own villages. So they all had to run away to the urban centers, and as soon as the crisis started there, they had to run back also. So this exposes the whole scene, this corona crisis. That is one thing. And another thing is that uh, we have always thought about that our country is basically an agricultural community, is mainly a agricultural country, and a majority of people even now live in the villages, depending upon agriculture or some petty skills for their livelihood. Uh, what is their despair? What is their crisis? I don't have to talk about much about that, because we all know that even recently we all know that the three bills have been passed about the farmers. Uh, as about the farmers itself, there has been some uh, uh, some internal conflicts as about the kulaks and the farm laborers, as well as the tenant laborers and tenant farmers and all that. Uh, but overall, what we may say, those who might be having lands, they may dispose it off for some good returns, for some good rewards from some company or the government. But what about those who are dependent upon farming, who are dependent upon they dependent for their livelihood from agriculture? What is going to happen to them? It's a big challenge, and and so has happened to the craftsmen and the artisans whose livelihood was their artistry, their crafts, but their skills. But they all have been deprived of that, and they have to just they have to be just laboring upon the machines which have been brought into uh, to raise the production, and those for the better profits of the managers and the owners of this technology and the industry. So it's a big thing. It's a big thing. So many dimensions are there, and uh, besides, there's one very important aspect we have to take into account, is that uh, uh, the very important aspect which has been all through skipped, or which has been all through overlooked, is the, so we say, the internal colonialism. The internal colonialism, which which Sajdaji and our leader Kishan Patnaik used to talk about quite in detail. This is one thing, that though we expelled the very blatant Europe colonial power from Europe, like the Britishers and others, but in our own country, our own people are uh, doing the same thing to their brethren who are living in the hinterlands, who are living in the forests, who are living upon some very meager resources of life, and they are being displaced, deprived even from their hinterlands, these Adivasis, and many such people. And it's a paradox, and it's a tragedy that whatever glitter of economy and the urban centers is there, it thrives upon the um, despair and the crisis of the people uh, in these hinterlands. If we extract some minerals, we use water or whatever resources of the country, and which is catering to the comforts of a a very small percentage of our population, we must say that it's a great sin that some people are getting comfort uh, at the expense of masses who hardly have their their resources of livelihood um, left for them. So it's all a matter of mal planning, and not to say that we all know that ours is the country which is on record, which has the biggest population of malnutrited children, uh, the malnutrition, and of course, uh, many of the people, a number of people, a good percentage of people who hardly can make both ends meet. Uh, so all this, the comparison is there. One side is the greater economy. One side is the so-called development. At one side there are advocates of this so-called development, and on the other side we have the real crisis, which goes to even uh, Jal Jangal Jam, the issue of Jal Jangal Jameen, the water, the forest, and the land. It's all related to that. So when we compare all these things, we there's no doubt that we are in the age of big crisis, and at the same time, uh, the people are yet to realize, the even our leadership is yet to realize that we have taken a path which is not going to be good to our nation and the society. Rather, uh, it is heading towards some suicidal end. So here we are reminded of Lohia, Dr. Lohia. Here we are reminded of him. As I said, that he addressed every bit of a problem what our country was in. Uh, to understand it further, I may recall a few things. Firstly, he was not just to refer to the crisis where the country was facing. Uh, he advocated, he underlined the seven revolutions, the Sapta Kranti, he said. What were the revolutions? They're the eradication of poverty, uh, freedom from poverty, freedom from inequality, freedom from injustice, freedom from gender disparities, and freedom from caste disparities, freedom from all trade imbalances, and the inequality of the um, uh, 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 rewards, or the return of the profits, uh, and of course then also the way to the way to bring this all about was not on the basis of any force, rather on the basis of satyagraha or civil disobedience. These were all the uh, all the solutions which Lohia was advocating, and he called himself Kujat Gandhiwadi, that is outcast Gandhiwadi, in the sense that he claimed that he is, of course, the true disciple of Gandhi in one sense, because Gandhi foresaw the country uh, of in of our own ambitions and of our own background and understanding, in not copying the Europe or um any of such countries which have different legacies or which have different history. And he called Lohia called himself Hujat Gandhiwadi just because uh, he thought that those who are in the power in the name of Gandhi are the Sarkari Gandhiwadi or the governmental Gandhiwadi who simply portray the pictures of Gandhi but not actually following the path of Gandhi. And then he also referred to the monastic Gandhiwadi, who simply simply emphasize the ideas of Gandhi, but doing nothing for that, and they doing no political intervention for that. They are they are in that sense they are escapist. So for that matter, Lohia claimed that to be a true Gandhian, we have to uh, intervene, we have to come forward, we have to challenge the system, we have to challenge the planning, we have challenged to the government establishment in that sense that until we come to the right path, until we take the right direction, we cannot claim to be followers of Gandhi. So that is something very important about him, what Lohia was claiming all through. And uh, the jail, Howrah, and this uh, vote, that is, jail means fighting for the cause, and the Howrah means spade, which is to be used to for the production and the constructive activity. And thirdly, the vote, which is important um, at the same time to change the system, to run the government, to come into the government and to take the reins of the country, so to take it to the right direction. So all this was uh, foreseen, and we must say that we can never say that Lohia and the people like him had never visualized the changes which have taken place all these decades and the crisis which we are in. It was very much foreseen by him. It was very much cautioned by him, and that until we do that, until we take the right path, we will be in great trouble, and that we are in at present. And unfortunately, since uh, we fail to have evolved such leadership, and we fail to have evolved such visionaries afterwards. Afterwards, I should not say uh, the leaders of that stature, which could guide the masses to certain positive goals. We are cursed now to be ruled by a regime which uh, could hardly be conceived and accepted, which is fascist, which is dictatorial, and in no sense democratic, and is taking the nation and the country to some very serious crisis. I think I must stop here. I have spoken quite a lot, and if my comrades and friends wish that I should also uh, say something in Hindi also, whatever I have spoken just about, uh, it will be welcome. I have no problem. And so I take excuse from all my comrades and friends. I don't know how far I have been perceptible in my uh, oration or in my talk. It is you to judge. But thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you, Joshi, and thank you, other comrades. Namaste.